All right, let's talk about something every leader obsesses over: getting a team that not only does great work, but actually sticks around. But what if the secret isn't just about who you hire, but about what happens after they sign on the dotted line? Today, we're going to dive deep into the employee lifecycle. It's this powerful and frankly often overlooked framework that can literally make or break your team's success. So, let's start with a question I bet a lot of you have asked yourselves. You find that perfect hire, right? They've got the skills, the experience, they just seem perfect. And then, bam, they're gone within a year. It's so frustrating and honestly super expensive. And the thing is, the reason this happens so often, it's usually not about the person. It's all about the journey we put them on once they walk through the door. Okay, so the root of this whole problem, it often comes down to this huge misunderstanding of what the employee lifecycle even is. There's this old myth about how it all works, and you know what? Busting that myth is the absolute first step to building a team that actually wants to stick around. The old way of thinking about this was like a static checklist. It was a straight line, right? You hire them, you onboard them, you develop them, you try to retain them. Done. But that rigid kind of one-size-fits-all thing, it just doesn't fly anymore. The modern view, the one that actually works, sees it for what it is: a dynamic, human-centered journey. It's something that has to adapt to all the messy, complex parts of real life. I mean, think about it for a second. That one-size-fits-all approach is just doomed to fail. A new parent coming back from leave has totally different priorities than a senior pro who's hungry for a new challenge. And what about a boomerang hire? Someone who left and then came back with all this new knowledge? They bring a totally unique advantage. A strategy that actually works has to embrace all this diversity. Okay, so we get it. It's a dynamic journey. But let's dig a little deeper and focus on the moments that really matter most. Because not all stages are created equal, right? Some moments have this huge, outsized impact on whether an employee is going to thrive or just kind of survive.
And check this out. Here's a number that should really get your attention. 68%. Almost 70% of the difference in whether someone stays that first year comes down to just one thing: the quality of their onboarding. Think about that. What happens in just the first few weeks can literally determine an employee's entire future with your company. That's huge.
So when the reality of the job doesn't live up to the promises you made during the interview process, you start building up something called EX debt, or employee experience debt. It's like a slow poison that just kills trust and engagement. Every single broken promise, every manager who isn't ready for their new hire, it all adds to this debt. And let me tell you, it is incredibly hard to pay that back.
And you know what? We've all seen this play out, haven't we? A new hire walks in on day one just buzzing with energy and excitement. And what do? We hand them a mountain of paperwork, rush them through a few awkward intros, and then basically leave them to figure it all out on their own. That initial spark, it immediately starts to flicker. Fast forward a few weeks, that initial buzz is long gone. The work just feels like a random pile of disconnected tasks. Their manager is basically a ghost. There's no roadmap, no clear path to success, and that gap between what they expected and what's actually happening gets wider and wider every single day. So by day 90, what do you have? A quietly disengaged employee. Yeah, they're physically showing up, but mentally, they've already checked out. And this is the critical part. This is not a failure of that person. It is a failure of the system. It's a life cycle problem, not a people problem. And hey, this whole scenario, it's not just a sad story. The data completely backs it up. A staggering 74%, 3/4 of employee disengagement kicks off in those critical first 90 days. It is a direct result of a badly managed start to their journey. Okay, so how do we break this cycle? Well, the best companies out there have stopped guessing. They've started measuring. They've completely moved away from relying on gut feelings and are now using actual data to design an employee journey that really, truly works. Let's take boomerang hires, for instance. These are people who used to work for the company, left, and then came back. The data shows they actually outperform brand new external hires by 18%. And why is that? It's simple, really. They already get the culture. They already know the systems. Their ramp-up time is just so much shorter. And this is where technology becomes a total game changer. Modern platforms let you see the entire life cycle as it's happening, in real time. You can track onboarding progress, you can analyze feedback patterns to spot trouble early, you can even predict who might be at risk of leaving. It's all about getting ahead of problems before they actually become problems. All right, this all sounds great in theory, right? But how do you actually do it? How do you put it into practice? Let's break down a simple, actionable blueprint you can use. Okay, it really boils down to 4 key things. First, structured onboarding. We're talking a clear 30, 60, 90-day plan so new folks know exactly what success looks like. Second, continuous feedback. Little bits of feedback embedded right into daily work because waiting a whole year for performance review is just way too late. Third, get 360-degree input. Get feedback from peers and partners because, let's be honest, managers don't see everything. And finally, number 4, use Lifecycle analytics, a unified dashboard that ties it all together and gives you that strategic foresight.
And you know, even when an employee decides to leave, the life cycle isn't really over. It's actually a massive opportunity. A well-managed exit can help you uncover problems you didn't even know you had. And a positive last impression, that can turn a former employee into a brand ambassador, a great source for referrals, or, hey, maybe even that future boomerang hire we were talking about. So when you put all these pieces together, when you intentionally design and connect every single stage of this journey, the employee lifecycle stops being just some HR process. It becomes a powerful engine for your entire business strategy. Now, of course, this isn't always easy. It's got its challenges. Teams often work in their own little silos, right? And that creates a really disjointed experience for employees. But look, these are solvable problems. For example, if you unify all your people data, you can finally get that holistic view of the employee journey and start spotting friction points before they blow up into major issues. And this right here, this is probably the most important takeaway of all. A well-managed employee life cycle creates a compounding advantage. Think about it. Better onboarding leads to higher engagement. That higher engagement fuels better development. And that development builds a more resilient, more capable team over time. Each stage literally builds on the last, creating this powerful upward spiral. So, I'll leave you with this one question to think about for your own organization. Are you just managing a process, or are you actually building a strategic advantage? Really think about it. Are you checking boxes, or are you building an experience that creates a lasting competitive edge? The choice ultimately is yours.